friends, welcome back to my channel. Can't forget the little dance. So you guys, I wanted to start like a new little series on my channel, with like a story time type of thing. I'm not sure, like exactly what kind of stories I'm gonna be telling and stuff, but for the most part it's gonna be stories about my life, things that I have gone through. I think we all have gone through, our struggles and stuff in life, but the reason why I wanted to share this with the world, basically the YouTube world, is because I hope that maybe one day my story may help somebody else. It may help someone get through a tough time or something. So with that being said, I think the first story that I want to share with you guys, oh sorry, there's like a fly stuck in my candle jar. The first story that I'm going to share with you guys is one that happened to me and my brother. Well, basically my family, when we were kids. It's a little hard, guys, so this is going to be something that, like I'm just saying, viewer discretion is advised. Trauma, this is going to have to do with armed robbery and things like that. So if that is something that you do not want to watch or listen to, I encourage you to go watch one of my other videos, skip this one. But here we go. So I believe I was in, I'm trying to really remember what grade I was in at this point. I really want to say that I was probably in like second or third grade. Yes, like about second or third grade. And my brother is 2 years younger than me, so he was probably in like kindergarten or first grade. So basically on the weekends, we always had a tradition where my brother and I went to go sleep over our grandparents' house. One weekend it would be my mom's parents, the next weekend would be my dad's parents. So it happened to be that we were staying at my dad's parents' house that weekend. And my dad owned a supermarket in New York, in Manhattan and Washington Heights. And my grandparents basically took over the supermarket business when my dad went away. And this is like, that's a story for another day. But so when that occurred, my grandparents took over the business, and my brother and I used to go basically every Saturday, and we would like work at the store. And we were always so excited to do this because that meant that we were earning money. Like my grandfather always paid us, like $20, $10, something like that. He always like paid us. So we went to the supermarket, and I remember that night we were going to my aunt's house because it was my little cousin's birthday. Again, this is like all on my dad's side. So we went to the birthday party. We were there till like maybe around 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I remember because my aunt's house at that time was literally right across the street from a police station. Now, my aunt lived at the time about 25 minutes away from my grandparents' house. So my grandfather drove home. His little thing always, like, this was just his, how can I say? I can't think of the word, guys, but this was just his routine. There you go. His routine was always that he would open the garage door. He would leave his Mercedes parked, like not all the way in, but somewhat into the garage, and he would have to get down and run to the bathroom to pee because that was just him. He always had that routine. So we were already used to it. My uncle was home. He lived in the house. This was my grandmother's youngest son. Well, my grandparents' youngest son, my dad's youngest brother. He was home. And we saw like the lights on from his bedroom because his bedroom windows kind of hit the street. So from downstairs, we looked up and we could see the lights in his bedroom on, like the TV lights, So my brother and I are getting off of the car, and I remember that my grandmother's sister was there with us because she was here visiting from Cuba with her husband. Now, my grandmother's sister has to walk with a cane. She has a messed up knee, always did, and she struggled a lot, so it was very hard for her to walk. So my brother and I were getting out of the car, and we were like handing her her cane and, you know, trying to get into the house basically. As soon as we get into the house, we're literally downstairs at the basement. 3 men come running down the stairs with guns pointed out, and they tell us to get on the floor. So we're all like terrified. We all get on the floor, and they keep asking my grandfather for the safe. And my grandfather said, I don't have a safe. And they said, well, we want the money. We want the money. So guys, this happened back in like the early 90s. And at that time, people used cash a lot more than what they do now. So these people apparently knew that we had a supermarket, and that my grandparents every Saturday at that time would bring the cash home, so that on Monday when they went back to the store, they could do the deposit at the bank. So they were basically after the money. Now also keep in mind that during this time, especially in Washington Heights, people paid a lot with EBT, what we call now EBT, but back then it was like these food stamp coupons, right? It looked like paper. It was like kind of funny looking. It looked like fake money basically. And the majority of people that shopped at the store paid with that. So my grandfather said, listen, take whatever you want. The bag is there. Like, you could take it, take everything. Just please leave, like, leave us alone. At this time, I remember that my brother was being tied on the ground. He was being tied with, and it was so weird, with, like, you know, the wire from like the iron. They cut the iron wire. They were tying his legs with that. And they thought they had tied me. I was wearing like black bell bottoms, and I guess since the wires were black, they thought that they had tied me, but my legs were not tied. They didn't try to tie our hands, and they just kept telling us to keep our eyes closed. My grandmother's sister was forced to go on the floor. She was tied up, her husband was tied up, and my grandparents were now being taken upstairs. There was one man standing downstairs with us, and I was freaking out, crying hysterical. And I just remember, for some reason, and I know this is gonna sound like weird, you know, but for some reason this man was like very comforting. He kept telling me not to worry, that everything was gonna be okay, that they were not there to hurt anyone, that they just wanted the money and they were gonna leave. Now, they kept yelling at my grandfather, like saying something I just remember hearing them upstairs yelling at my grandfather and telling my grandparents that they knew that they had more money, that they were like drug lords and all of this stuff. And my grandfather never ever in his life was ever involved with anything like that. He was always a very hardworking man. So my grandfather kept saying like, no. And like my grandmother at this point realized that my uncle had been home. So she said, oh my God, where's my son? Where's my son? Where's my son? And they heard my uncle scream from upstairs that he was okay, just to, you know, to do whatever it was that these guys wanted so that they could leave. So I don't remember too much of what the negotiation was upstairs between my grandparents and these men that were upstairs with them. I do know that when they came back downstairs, they told my grandfather again. They made my brother stand up. I was laying right next to him. They made him stand up. They pointed a gun to his head, and they said to my grandfather, if you don't give us everything that we're asking for, we're going to kill him, and then we're going to kill her. And that's when I got hysterical. Oh God, guys, this is hard. So I remember getting hysterical and saying, please, no, not my little brother. Like, you know, take me, not my little brother, like that kind of scenario. And my grandfather kept saying, please just leave the kids alone, you know, take whatever you want. Guys, I don't know what saved us that day. All I know is that these men ended up leaving. They told us not to call the police, that if we did, they were going to come back, and they ended up just leaving. They did take the money with them. Now, they didn't take much money. There was like maybe $800 in cash. Everything else was in food stamp EBT. And they took all of my grandmother's jewelry and all of my grandfather's jewelry, and I believe the jewelry that my uncle had at the time. And they ended up leaving, and we waited like 10 minutes, and I was the one that got up. So I remember getting up and being all wet because I was so scared that I peed my pants, and so did my brother. And I remember untying my brother. I went then and I untied my grandmother's sister and her husband, and we helped her up and sat her on a chair. And then I remember my grandfather calling 911. We asked, like, not we, but my grandfather asked for the police to please be discreet and to not come, like, you know, dressed, and to come in an unmarked car, like to not come in police attire and to come in an unmarked car, because we did not know where these men were, if they were still in the area, if they were gonna come back. You know, we had no idea. So the police came, they asked us what happened, we gave a report, and the funny thing is that one of the guys had opened up the refrigerator door and he had drank a can of juice or something. I think my grandmother had like the mango nectars that come in cans, and he had drank it and left it there, so there was DNA there. Well, it was so weird. Like, I remember that I was told as a kid, don't worry, everything is gonna be okay. You know, I was told a few days later that they had been caught. But then I want to say like a month or two after that, so my two aunts used to work at the supermarket. They were basically accounts receivable, think of it that way, and payroll. That's what they did. Well, these same gentlemen came into the supermarket, got into the office, and tied up my aunts and stole money again from us. I don't know how we were targeted. We believe that my grandfather had been followed that day from the supermarket to my aunt's house with a police station right across the street. And then they basically already knew, because they must have been like eyeing him and knowing his routine and his pattern. That's why it's very important, you guys, to try to never have the same routine and pattern, because you never know who's following you, what's gonna happen, you know, like, and always be very aware of your surroundings. If I see a weird car and I feel like that car is following me, I will drive to a police station if I have to. Right now, I literally live like not even a block away from the police station. Like, I'm half a block away from them. You know, like, just be vigilant. I'm not saying to go move next to a police station, but always be vigilant. And if anyone is ever following you, go to your closest police station, you know, somewhere public. Don't drive home so that they don't find out where you live, you know what I mean? Things like that. But we came to the conclusion that it must have been that they knew his routine. They had followed him home. They knew that, you know, we think that it was a surprise to them that my uncle was home, because what my uncle said happened is he was in the shower, and when he came out of the shower, they were already there waiting for him to come out, and they hit him in the temple with the gun. And they basically knocked him out. He says he was out for he doesn't know how long. When he woke up, he was tied up literally in a towel, and they were asking him for money. So, you know, we believe that our family was definitely targeted. They knew that we had a business and they wanted money, and they were just there, you know, to steal money from us. I don't know now where these men are. I hope that they are in jail. I've never asked, because it's a topic that we don't really discuss in the family. I know that my aunts were very scared, you know, from the incident that they went through. I know that night when everything happened, my mom came like hysterical. She came to pick my brother and I up, and we went to go sleep over at my other grandparents' house, her parents' house, with my mom. She stayed there with us, and I remember that night I did not sleep anything, you guys. It was such a scary experience. And I will tell you guys now, I want to say a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, my husband took me to the shooting range, and he said, hey, let's go shooting. My husband you know, has to carry a gun for the type of work that he does. And I've always been very scared of the gun because of the experience that I had. I feel like it traumatized me. and he wanted me to shoot the gun. I just know that as soon as we went into the shooting range and I started hearing the pops from the gun, like I literally, my body started to go like this, my hands started to shake, I started getting sweaty and clammy, and I couldn't. I said to him, babe, I'm sorry, but no, I'll sit this out. You go enjoy yourself, go shooting, do what you gotta do, I'll wait in the car. I ended up waiting for him in the car because I couldn't do it, guys. It was something that, to me, I don't know, like I can still vividly see the image of my brother, my little brother, with a gun to his head, and them saying that they were going to kill him if my grandfather did not give them more money, or gave them the money, or whatever it was, or gave them the safe. I don't know exactly what they were asking, but that image is like stuck in my head now forever, and it's something that is traumatizing. It really, really is. So I encourage anyone that has ever been in a situation like this to seek counseling. A lot of people think that counseling does not work. I mean, I should practice what I preach. I do have a counselor. I don't really like her. Now when I start my new job and I get health insurance again, I am going to be looking for a counselor. And what they say, guys, is like, so a little background about me. I went to school for criminal justice. I have a degree in criminal justice and social services. One piece of advice that I can give you is, when you are looking for counseling, whether it's marriage counseling, whether it's counseling for just yourself, whether it's counseling for you and, you know, sibling, grief counseling, whatever type of counseling it is, date your counselor. You have to date your counselor because you never know. You need to find a person that you're gonna match with. You never know if you're gonna match with that person until you have a session with them, unfortunately, right? And sometimes it takes a few sessions. The counselor that I have, I can tell you right now, she's not relatable at all. She's a lot older than me, which is fine, you know, but like when I try to talk about certain topics, her train of thought or her like advice is like very old school and outdated, and kind of like, what are you saying, like that kind of vibe, you know? It's kind of hard to explain, but I very, very much believe that you do need to date your counselor so that you can find the perfect one that you match with, and that you feel like you can open up to that person, and you feel like that person understands you, knows where you're coming from, and vice versa, you know, like that person's advice, you feel like, okay, they get me, they know what I'm trying to say, like this is cool, I can open up more and let down your guard, because that's really hard, guys, when you go through traumatizing things. And I think more so for men than women, it's really hard for men to open up about it. I know that my brother must live with that trauma, you know, and he's never gotten help for it. I've only spoken to like one counselor one time about this scenario, and you know, it's hard to open up. And that's why I sometimes feel that by me doing these story times and kind of letting you guys in on my life, it's kind of going through little things that I've gone through that have happened to me, I kind of feel like it's therapeutic in a way. It's a way to kind of open up and like put the story out there and let someone else know that's been through the situation, like, hey, you're not alone, you know. And I've always wanted to create a platform where if anyone out there ever needs to speak to someone, doesn't have someone to talk to, needs to vent, no matter what the situation is, please reach out, guys. I am very relatable, and I like to show empathy to people. I can empathize with you and kind of give you that maybe shoulder to cry on that you don't have, or that you don't feel comfortable. Because I know me personally, sometimes I don't want to burden my husband with, oh my god, I'm down and depressed about this and that, you know. There's certain things that I've gone through in life that I should have gotten counseling for and I didn't. And you know, they're traumatizing and they still come to haunt me sometimes. I till this day still have nightmares about that situation that I went through when I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade. I've had so many nightmares where I feel like in my dream I've woken up and I've either been shot or I've been stabbed, like God forbid, right? or something has happened to me and I'm like trying to save someone else and I can't get to them. And I don't know if it's because of that trauma or if it's just nightmares that I have, because I like watching a lot of like crime shows and stuff. So I've started to cut back on watching crime shows right before bed, because the nightmares that I get, guys, are unreal and they are very realistic and kind of scary. But yeah, so this is the story time, the first story time that I wanted to share with you guys. I know it's probably like a shock and like an hopefully my next story time can be a little more lighthearted. I'm gonna start thinking and planning out ideas of what stories I want to share with you guys and what I feel can help someone else. If you guys have any stories ever that you guys want me to read, let's say, because you want to put it out there and you want advice from viewers, let me know, guys. I don't mind. You can email me, glitzdandglambyjen@gmail.com. It will be in the description. You can email me from an anonymous email address. Make one up, don't put your name, or if you want to share your name, you can. If you let me know if you want me to share your name with the viewers, or if you want to stay anonymous. It is all up to you. I love you, amigas. Love you, friends. I hope you guys gain something from this video. Again, it's one of those like topics, but I love you all. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and hit the bell so that you get notified each and every time I upload a new video. Besos a todos. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye, friends.